Schools are out for the summer, but big decisions about the money that makes them run. Plus, failure at DPS puts preschool programs in jeopardy, the impact of the Detroit 3's millions for the grand bargain, and will the wave of Tea Party power affect a key congressional race in Michigan? That plus headlines from around the state. MiWeek starts right now.
Recently, Michigan's economy has begun to turn around. Michigan's gained over 250,000 new jobs. We've paid off $20 billion in long-term debt. And our population is increasing for the first time in a decade. But to make Michigan a top 10 state, there's still plenty of work to be done. Step up and help put Michigan on top. Learn what you can do at MichiganTurnaroundPlan.com.
Funding is also provided by Delta.
Hi, and welcome to MiWeek. I'm Christy McDonald. Thanks so much for joining us. If you hear cheering, it's from millions of kids across the state celebrating the end of the school year. But some school districts are not cheering over the money that state lawmakers just voted on. We'll take a look at school funding, plus what last-minute deals are happening to fix our roads. Also coming up tonight, a big mistake at Detroit Public Schools could put preschool in jeopardy for many students. Plus more money for the grand bargain from the Detroit 3. A look at the power of the Tea Party in Michigan and how this week's defeat of the House leader may spill over into a congressional race here in the UP. And we'll explain why it is finally summer on the Great Lakes. But we do start tonight with the latest from Lansing on funding for schools, cities, and roads. Let's get to it with Nolan Finley, the editorial page editor of the Detroit News, and Stephen Henderson, the editorial page editor of the Detroit Free Press. Gentlemen, it's always good to see you, especially when we're talking about the budget and what's happening in Lansing. It was funny.
Oh, that's exciting stuff.
Well, it is exciting stuff because
Baseball.
it's where we put our money and where is it going to go and what's it going to do for us. So when we came in and we started talking about this, it was funny, Nolan, you said to Stephen, all right, what's going to happen with these roads? And so I'm going to ask you guys, where are we? They were at a marathon session on Wednesday night. Can this deal get done? And we do have to throw out the caveat that we do tape a little bit earlier on in the day.
Well, hopefully by now they've done something, but it certainly didn't look like it leading up to that. Last night was just a dismal failure. They didn't even do the things everybody thought would be easy to do, like raise the fee for overweight trucks and end some of the carve-outs on registration fees just to gain the little money. They didn't even do that. I mean, they didn't come close to passing a meaningful transportation bill.
Is anything in this really easy, though, Stephen?
Well, it should be. The math here is simple. You pay now to take care of the roads, or you pay way more later to repair them and to fix your car when you're running over these potholes. This is not a complex argument. The governor has been making it very simple for almost 3 years now, and the legislature just doesn't get it. I actually think people get it. I think the public gets it a lot more than the legislature does.
Why do you say no? Why don't you think the public gets it?
That's not true. I think one of the things that has these lawmakers wary is that the public doesn't get it yet, even though the roads are just absolutely horrible. And even if you can't possibly imagine going through another winter of this, our polling just a couple of weeks ago showed that roads were like the #1 issue for people, but there was absolutely no support for raising them. Our pollster did focus groups, and people told them, we're already paying enough, you're just not using our money right. And you hear that over and over again, and I don't think the advocates for more road funding, including the governor, have made their case to the Michigan people.
So no support for a raise in the sales tax for money, or for any tax whatsoever?
Tax. Well, and that's what you're seeing. Believe me, if the people are out there clamoring, fix our roads, we'll pay for it, these guys would be voting
Well, it's also about the way, I mean, it gets to some degree to the way that the districts in the House and the Senate have been gerrymandered. You have these ultra-conservative districts that have been carved out where you're right, that there isn't support for more revenue, and that makes it really tough for members of the GOP caucus to vote for.
Last night you didn't get Democrat votes either, Steve.
Well, the Democrats are holding out for something different, though.
Well, they're wanting a bargain for this, for that, for that.
But that's different.
You didn't even get a majority of the Democrat votes for that for that.
Well, because they won't
night.
give them anything.
Okay, I think it was interesting that you
Well,
wrote.
it shouldn't be, if the roads need fixing, and if that's what
Agreed.
leadership's about, this shouldn't be a bargaining chip. We should do what's right for Michigan.
Oh, but isn't that part of politics, so that there has to be some kind of bargaining chip
sure,
somewhere
but don't
around
criticize the Republicans for not going along.
I'm
when you got the
criticizing
Democrats sitting on their hands.
Well, what
not
I'm
giving
criticizing the
votes.
Republicans for is having drawn the silly maps in the first place.
All right, let's get beyond that, because we have to deal with what those maps are right now.
There's no support in amongst the Michigan taxpayers.
The Michigan Chambers
to
poll,
raise their taxes.
The Michigan Chambers poll back in what 4 or 5 weeks ago showed 56% of people said raise money for roads, raise taxes for roads.
What would you
goes
expect
to
the Chamber poll to
72%.
come out, Steve?
All right.
The Michigan Chamber?
Hang on one second. I want to bring up something before we leave the topic of roads, but maybe we never will leave the topic of roads here today. That you wrote in the paper this week that if they don't get a deal, these lawmakers should go home for summer and should never come back.
Yeah.
Shouldn't come back in the fall.
This is one of the most basic functions of government. It's infrastructure, taking care of the roads and things like that. It's infuriating that we've been having this argument, not just for 3 years, mind you, because the governor was, the first person to really bring up an idea as to how to pay for it. But we've been talking about this for almost a decade, and we've known for almost a decade that we need $1 billion to $1.5 billion more every year to take care of the roads. This is not calculus. This is simple addition. I mean, there should not be this kind of debate going on endlessly about something like this. At some point, you gotta act, and if they don't act now, I'm not sure what will inspire them to.
At the very least, they should put it on the ballot and let the people decide what they want to do. Give them a couple of choices.
See, I think that's cowardly.
Of course it is, but it's not getting done any other way.
You also lose time too. You also are through another construction season.
It'd be very important. Now they could divert some money, some other money to do the work that needs to be done this summer, but nothing on the order of a comprehensive bill. But if they're not willing to pass it themselves, at least put it on the ballot in November and let folks decide how they want to pay for the roads.
All right, another long night, you think? Or, I mean...
Yeah, maybe. They should stay. I mean, out of just courtesy to those of us, rattling our teeth on the roads, they ought to stay as long as they can to try to get something done. But I'm not terribly optimistic that it's going to happen.
All right, let's go ahead and take a look at some of the funding for schools. School's out in my district tomorrow, so kids are, woo, they're doing backflips, getting ready for summertime. I'm very happy to have the kids home all summer long. But let's talk about some of the per pupil funding that was put through a range between $50 to $175 per pupil, and some of the poorest districts are getting $125, but some of the larger districts are not happy with this $50 more allotment because they thought that they were going to get more.
Well, I mean, it goes back to the situation we've been wrestling with since Proposal A was passed. There is unequal funding in terms of resources per district, and it's getting harder and harder to justify. And as hard as this is to swallow for the affluent districts, you've got to catch up these poor districts.
And the reality is the revenue projections were not quite on point.
It wasn't as much work with, but overall there's a 4% increase in education, K-12 education spending. That's not bad, and every district gets its increase in retirement costs taken care of.
Yeah, I mean, I think this gets to a much bigger question that, like Nolan said, has been hanging around since Proposal A, and frankly before. I mean, things were not equal before Proposal A. Proposal A made some steps toward that, but we still have a big discussion to have about how to finance schools and how to do it more fairly in this state, and also to do it with a better revenue stream. I mean, I think things have changed so much since we passed Proposal A. It's time to sort of revisit the question of how we want to fund schools, and we do have to fund them better than we have been.
Well, I'm not sure that equitable funding is going to produce equitable outcomes, but I mean, you look at Highland Park, where they're spending almost more than anyone in Metro Detroit per pupil and getting some of the worst results. But there are some fairness issues, particularly among suburban districts, among neighboring districts, wide swings in how much money get. Many of the poor districts, urban districts, make up what they're not getting from the state
Federal
and a lot
money.
more federal money.
Yeah.
So, you know, you've got to take the whole pool and look
But
at
the federal money is targeted, and you can't just spend that on.
But it's
It has
paying
to go
for
for a
something.
specific
It's paying
program.
for something
Paying for
specific.
Before we leave budget talk, which I know that you love, Nolan, let's talk really quick about the boost for cities and their municipal revenue sharing. About what, 7%? Is that a good deal?
Yeah, it's going back the right direction. But there again, the system itself is broken. The whole system we came up with for revenue sharing.
But is this a good bump, though? Is this a good start?
It's a fine bump, and it's the first one in I don't know how many years. I mean, a very long time. It doesn't begin to make up the money that cities have lost, but it is sending us back in the right direction. Again, though, you're not going to fix this with a 7% bump, every year for the next 15 years.
Well,
You do
except
have
that you also have, combined with that, improvement in home prices. So
It's helping.
they're going to catch up on their, you better believe your property taxes are going to be going up again. And, they'll catch up on assessments. So you get this 7%, you get another 3% in additional property tax revenue. That's not a bad bump for 1 year.
All right, speaking of federal funding for school programs, Detroit Public Schools feeling the heat after botching the application for federal Head Start money. This means a loss of 950 preschool spots in the district. And we have been talking about how important that preschool is for kids and coming in. Stephen, I want to start with you because this is a district that is run by emergency management, which is supposed to be making this district better. Yeah. This is a huge oversight on their part.
Yeah, I think so. They tried real hard this week to make it seem as though this wasn't a big deal and that they could make up the money, in other ways. But there's no question that you can't excuse not having applied for money that you were going to get because you couldn't upload the file on the computer. I mean, it's unbelievable incompetence on their part. But again, as you point out, this is a district that's been under emergency management since 2009, I believe. That's a long time, and some things have been moving toward improvement in terms of the fiscal side of things, but the academic side is just still a disaster. And there's no vision for this district. What is it going to be? How's it going to function? They continue to lose kids. They're down to, I think, 45,000 kids from almost 75,000 when it went into emergency management. That's not the point of state oversight, to kill districts. It's supposed to revitalize them.
The basic thing they were supposed to do was to fix the finances.
Right.
And, they're still not being able to manage their grant money. And their explanation, don't worry about it, we get the money from somewhere else. Well, if you take the money from somewhere else, that's a program that's going to get short.
That you're taking money from.
It's not like we got some infinite pool of money out there, just grab a little more here and patch up. I mean, this was a really bad mistake in a district that by now should at least have its financial operations in place.
And I think that's the big picture of this. Is it's such a disappointment that, and it's also something that we haven't been talking about a lot when we're talking about the recovery of the city of Detroit. There has been so much focus on the finances of the city and looking at revitalizing downtown and talking about the neighborhoods and blight. And the education part, because it is under its own emergency management, is something that there hasn't been a lot of focus on. But I view this as a very large disappointment this week in seeing this come out.
Well, yeah, the latest in a string of education disappointments. The reason you're not hearing a lot of talk about the schools and about fixing education is because, it just makes everybody's head hurt. It's an impossible task. We've been trying to fix these schools for 20 years, and they just keep getting worse. As Steve said, they keep losing enrollment. Their academic performance improves marginally, if at all. These schools are a disaster, and when Mike Duggan was running, and even after he was elected, you ask him about the schools, he didn't want any part of that.
Yeah, but I guess I don't buy impossible tasks.
It's
well,
not impossible.
How do you fix them?
Well, how much time do you have?
Well,
I guess.
I mean, for starters, I'm a big believer in single point authority over school systems. You make somebody accountable for the performance. That has helped in other cities. But I mean, we also have to be honest. There's no city, certainly no urban district in the country that has solved the school problem. I mean, you go to New York or Chicago or Washington, they have bad schools and real problems that are intractable. What they have that we don't is good choices for middle-class families in the city. So if you live in New York, if you live in Washington, if you live in Chicago, if you live in a decent neighborhood or close to it, there is a school you can send your kid to. We're not even at that point because we just haven't made the effort to, you know, to take all of the schools in the city and deal with them as sort of one system instead of competing systems, and make one person accountable for improving.
I'm not sure we should have a system. I think the focus, I agree with you, there should be more choice and there should be more quality choice, and I think the best way to do that is to break the system up entirely.
Well, we've done that.
And focus on individual quality schools, as many as you can develop from whatever governance model they come.
But the problem
big
is,
urban public school districts don't work anywhere.
Well, the problem is, though, we've got more choice here than you have in any other city in America right now.
Not New Orleans.
Well, New Orleans is the exception, and there was an important report about the failures there of the charter system to fix things. That choice alone is not the issue. It's quality choice and assuring it, and I think you do need that single point of authority to help get there.
All right, well, let's, speaking of Detroit, big news this week in Detroit's bankruptcy. The trial has been pushed back to August, but more money for the grand bargain for GM. Chrysler donating $26 million to the DIA to fulfill its end of the bargain to raise $100 million as part of that grand bargain. I guess we really can't stop saying enough that what this grand bargain is, and the fact that so many entities have come on board with it, the importance of it, and really the uniqueness of it.
And this really is a symbol of the revival of the domestic auto industry. For a long time, the big three had disappeared as major philanthropic players in this community, and they're back big time. You're seeing it with these grants. You're seeing it with grants to a lot of other things. I mean, it's all going to, you know, beef up that pool of money that the retirees will have to mitigate pension loss. But now it's up to them. I mean, they're voting now. They really don't have a choice here. There's only one choice, and that's to improve this grand bargain. If they defeat it, you go back to square one or less and have to start talking again about really deep and severe pension cuts.
Yeah, and you have Kevin Orr coming out. You have Mayor Mike Duggan coming out saying, take the deal. This is the best deal.
Anyone who's thinking right now is saying, take the deal. I mean, there's a lot of emotion that is inspiring people to say, oh no, let's you know, prove a point. Let's go to court and try to force you know, them to pay us all our money, which of course is not there. Let's you know, sell the art, which, you know, the city can't be forced to do. I mean, there's a lot of unreality still caught up in some of the discourse, but I actually think that that we're seeing a coalescing around the idea that this is not a great thing for anybody, but it is the best deal we're going to get. You're flooding underfunded pensions with $800 million in private and philanthropic and government money. It's unprecedented. To stare that gift horse in the mouth would be one of the more insane things I'd seen anyone do.
There's also a lot of manipulation going on too. I mean, the other creditors still believe they're going to knock the doors down to the DIA, and they're going to get to plunder the art. I don't think that's going to happen, but they're trying to convince the retirees that, you know, that's a possibility. You got the unions at work thinking they can leverage this in contract negotiations. Got a lot of agitators out there who aren't helping the situation.
And now we've got the trial moved back to August, which again gives our timeline a little bit of not the end of September, possibly into October. And Kevin Orr is saying that he hopes he will be able to stay on for that process because they could vote him out October 1st.
Well, that's going to be one of the key, I think, sort of milestones for this new council. It makes no sense to get rid of, whatever you think of Kevin Orr, it makes no sense to get rid of him in the middle of this huge undertaking that he's doing on behalf of the city. You got to let him finish. And, you know, again, emotion says let's throw him out and demand that we get complete authority back in the city. But you got to sit and think about it. He's got to finish this work before he leaves. And if it's not done by September, then you can't vote to remove him.
Yeah, and I think you can count on Kevin Orr being there throughout the bankruptcy. I don't think the governor's going to let this thing suddenly, you get right near the end and suddenly you got a new driver in the car.
Yeah, you can't.
So he's, you know, if the council won't do it, if they won't go along, you better believe that sometime in September he'll be reappointing Kevin Orr to another term as an emergency manager. I don't think anybody at City Hall wants that.
Can he do that?
He can.
Another
Well, you look how they
18
did it at
months?
the Detroit schools.
Yeah.
So you can, if Kevin Orr resigns,
Leaves and then
he can reappoint them. I mean, there's loopholes in this law that you could drive a truck through. You better believe Kevin Orr will be here through the end of that bankruptcy.
All right, let's turn now to the Tea Party and their chance in Michigan since House Leader Eric Cantor was defeated in the Virginia primary by a Tea Party-backed candidate. There's focus on Tea Party candidates in Michigan now, especially some talk about the 1st Congressional District up north, where a challenger is targeting Congressman Dan Benishek in the primary. Now, Dan Benishek was a Tea Party supported guy. So the big question is now Tea Party candidates or Tea Party guys are not even Tea Party enough for the Tea Party?
And I think if we look at this just as an issue in the Republican Party and just as the Tea Party holding people to impossibly conservative standards, I think we may be missing what's really going on here. I mean, Eric Cantor in Virginia was certainly a conservative. He was a conservative. He ought to have been conservative enough for anyone. I don't think that's what's going on. I think you might have an anti-incumbent wave building here, and that's going to, a lot of people other than conservative Republicans or not so conservative Republicans might need to watch out here. We might be seeing the beginning of a kick the rascals out movement.
Isn't that kind of short-sighted,
that we don't see the challenges coming inside Democratic districts. I mean, there's no Democratic primary for any of the seats in Michigan this year, and I'm challenged to come up with Democratic primaries in other states. I mean, this is about a war within the Republican Party for what kind of party it's going to be. I'm not sure it's just about the Tea Party. I think with Eric Cantor there was some other stuff going on. I mean, his association with Washington lobbyists, the distance he'd.
But that's all about incumbency, and there's not a whole lot of Democratic primaries, if any, in Michigan this time. But I think when we get to November and people actually get a crack at some of these incumbents of both parties, I think you're going to see this play out. There's a real frustration with both parties in Washington and what's going on.
Sure.
I think if you look at congressional approval ratings, they're
horrible.
Dismal, and I think people have been kicking the rascals out now for 3 or 4 election cycles. This could be a real hard year on incumbents based on what we've seen so far.
All right, just 2 other stories I wanted to kick around real quick in the minute that we had left. 2 other headlines: Mitt Romney endorsing Dave Trott in the 11th district
Does that
race.
help him?
That's what I was going to ask, and then I want to talk real quick about ice cover in the Great Lakes. But does it really matter if Mitt? I mean, it kind of came out of left field for me, though.
It's a big name, and if he brings a check with it, it helps. And Mitt Romney is still well thought of. The Romney family is still well thought of in Oakland County. I think it gives, if anything, what Dave Trott needs is visibility right now, and he needs to build name recognition. And Mitt Romney coming in here with an endorsement and support gives him a boost in name recognition.
A boost?
Maybe. I'm not sure. I mean, Mitt Romney got clobbered in Oakland County 2 years ago. I mean, really just drubbed. And I think this is a weird race anyway with Bentivolio. No one knows what to make of him and Dave Trott. So
It's a Republican Party, and the Republican Party, Oakland County Republican Party, was very big for Mitt Romney.
Not big enough.
And I think what he's looking for is sort of a signal to Oakland County Republicans that he's the guy.
Yeah.
All right, well, that is going to do it. And I also wanted to say, hey, the ice is all finally gone from the Great Lakes. That was the other headline.
Awful
finally June
gone.
7th. It's finally
Darn
summertime.
good global warming finally kicked in.
And that'll do it for MiWeek this week. Thanks for joining us. Check us out Facebook, Twitter, and you can find all of our shows, MiWeek.org. We will see you next Thursday. I'm Christy McDonald. Take care.